Marc Raimondi for ESPN, back with you today, joined by top middleweight contender in the UFC, Derek Brunson, who fights Darren Till, headlining UFC Fight Night on September 4th. Derek, that fight initially was targeted for England, for Darren Till's home country. It's now going to be in Las Vegas, back on your turf in the United States. Is that a positive thing for you? Are you glad that it's going to be in the States?
I really didn't care. At this point in my career, it's all about momentum, whoever I'm fighting, getting the job done. So no matter whether it was in London or back in the US, it didn't matter to me. I mean, without having to travel for a fight, I mean, that's always better, but I didn't care either way. I was just ready to fight and make a statement.
This is a huge fight in the middleweight division, and it's a division that I think we know that Robert Whittaker is most likely getting the next title shot against Izzy Adesanya, right? Jared Cannonier is coming off a big win last weekend. Now you have Darren Till coming up next weekend. Do you think where does that win, if you were to beat Till on September 4th, where does that put you in that hierarchy?
Well, I think for sure, if I go out here and finish this guy impressively, it's going to be really hard not to give me the next title shot after Whittaker and Adesanya. Being that I won 4 in a row against top opponents, all ranked guys, and Till will be 5th, So to go out and get a nice finish, I believe that'll put me in a prime spot for the next title shot after Whittaker and Adesanya.
What do you make of Darren Till? He's obviously an elite fighter, and he's done very well now in 2 divisions in the UFC, but is the kind of guy that likes to, play jokes on Twitter, say crazy stuff, tweet crazy stuff. What do you think about Darren Till? Do you like him? Do you not like him? What do you think?
I think he's funny. He's a young kid who don't care, I think he has 1 kid to my knowledge. So he's still young, Maybe when his kids get a little older, he'd be like, okay, I probably shouldn't say certain things. But I think he's funny, man. He's a prankster. I'm enjoying the whole build up with the fight.
No beef or anything. It's all fun.
Yeah, no beef, no real beef. I think the underlying issue is he know what he got to do, and I know what I have to do. He wants a title shot. He feel that a good win could get him a title shot. I feel like a good win could get me a title shot. So we both know what's at stake, and ready for the moment.
Both of you guys have power in your hands. You're both southpaws. One thing that people have exploited in the past with Till, and actually one of those guys is fighting this weekend in Cleveland, Tyron Woodley, is the wrestling. I know you're a wrestler at heart. Your base is wrestling, and you've done a really good job in the past few fights utilizing that wrestling. Not to give too much away, but is that going to be a big part of your game plan?
Well, I like to go out and just do the smartest thing that the fight presents me. So whether it's wrestling, whether it's striking, I'm not in there trying to stay in the cage all night, So however I can get out of there as fast as I can and get the job done with my hand raised, that's what I'm looking to do. So there's really no predetermined whether I'm going to do this or that. I understand where I'm really good at. And I don't really think Till's wrestling is like really one of his weaknesses. I mean, when I watched the Woodley fight recently, Woodley dropped him. He caught him with a right hand. Then he kind of took him down. He didn't take him down off of a takedown, So, but Woodley don't take a lot of guys down anyways, That's been one of the things. Like, he was a 2-time Division I All-American, but he's not one of these guys who really go in and take guys down. But I'm different when it comes to wrestling. So I feel like I can exploit anybody with the wrestling. Just gotta, be smart and set it up.
Like you said before, you won 4 in a row against all tough competition. You're undefeated with this hairstyle, with the blonde, undefeated blonde DB. Are people still underrating you? It feels like you're still not, in that conversation when they talk about the top middleweights in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I don't really pay attention to that stuff anymore. My job is to go out and get the job done. My overall goal is to keep being the best version of myself and keep getting better and better. So that's more of my focus these days, worried about what people think or how people perceive me. I mean, it is what it is. My resume speaks for itself. One of my teammates said to me, is like, what is my record? 22-7. And I've been I lost 2 fights that I easily should have won. So that would have had me 23-5. And that's like pretty much a Hall of Fame, resume right there, So I just got to keep chipping away and getting the job done, and the rest will take care of it. So
You see, like Israel Adesanya, who is obviously the champion of the division, and when he talks about future contenders, he's talking about Whittaker, he's talking about Cannonier, he's talking about Darren Till. Doesn't mention Derek Brunson a whole lot. I know that you guys, have a little bit of history already, but why do you think that is? Why does Izzy not bring your name up as a guy that he might fight, again in the future?
well, he fought me before,
Sure.
and that was when I was ranked higher than him at the time. So I don't know. Maybe he feel I'm one of his biggest threats. He seen me turn it around, being a better version of myself. Improving some things on the feet, not rushing in for the takedown. That was the thing with me and him when me and him fought. If you go back and look at the fight, he wasn't like hitting me with anything really the whole first round. The fight ended with like 10 seconds left in the first round, and it was all predicated off me taking a bad shot, being overzealous, and him catching me with a knee. But before that, it wasn't like he was just, having a clinic, running a clinic with his striking. It was tough for him to figure out. And then, I still have that wrestling. If I could take somebody down and have my way, ground and pound, submissions, all that.
Do you feel like you're a different fighter now than you were, 5, 6, 7 years ago? That Whittaker fight always comes back to me where, it was kind of a brawl and, both guys got hit and you ended up losing that fight. But it seems like you're like a more measured, technical, tactical guy now. Is that working with Sanford? Is that just you, growing up? What do you think that is?
A little of both, working with Sanford, these guys helped me put together a really good game plan. Henry, who's really good when it comes to striking and breaking things down. But it got to a point to where it's like, okay, these fights were fun. They were crazy, but at the same time, I'm not getting where I want to be by going out here, not being disciplined in these fights. So it got to a point to where it's like, hey, we gotta do something about it. We gotta switch it up,
I think there was a graphic that I think it might have actually been ESPN MMA on social media put up last week before the Kelvin Gastelum Jared Cannonier fight, and it was Kelvin Gastelum's strength of schedule. It was all the guys that he's fought, and it's great. He's got a really impressive strength of schedule. He's fought a lot of guys, but your strength of schedule, man, is kind of crazy for middleweight. I mean, if you look at the names that you fought, Adesanya, Whittaker, Jacare, Anderson Silva, Uriah Hall, Yoel Romero. I mean, do you feel like you're one of the guys who has had like the toughest road, maybe in any division, to get where you are?
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no denying. If you had some like metrics, where you have a strength of schedule, I'm pretty sure, I'm gonna be up there. And I think middleweights, myself, Whittaker, and Gastelum, if you go straight to schedule throughout your whole career, like we're gonna be top 3 guys out of the whole MMA, granted any division, everybody's fought tough competition. So yeah.
And really the only guys that you've ever lost to are like the championship caliber guys, like the Izzies and the Jacares and the Romeros and those types of guys. I mean, I know that the word gatekeeper is kind of a dirty word, but do you feel like you've kind of grown past that gatekeeper tag?
Yeah, I've gotten better, and I've changed up my fighting style and became more patient. So it helped out with the approach when it comes to the fight. So when you're able to string together fights and look better, then you start putting yourself in that contender range.
For sure. I wanted to ask you because you've been around for so long. I think this is year 9 in the UFC for you, and you fought really a who's who of middleweight. Who are the best middleweights of the last like 10 years in the UFC? Would you say? Could you rank them like your top? Who would be like your top 5? Because you've been in there either with them or you've been in there with the guys that those guys have also fought. What do you think?
Yeah. If top 5 middleweights for the last 10 years, I don't know. I maybe have to go.
I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah, maybe Anderson 1, maybe Izzy 2, Whittaker 3. Romero maybe a 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then a 5. I don't know. May have to put myself in there.
Yeah, do it. Why not?
Yeah.
It's your time. It's your platform right now.
I've done a lot in the middleweight division. The only thing I haven't done was been champion. But some people had easier roads to being the champion. You know, there's been times at 55 where guys win the title and they had an easier path than say someone else. You know, so it happens like that sometimes. You know, it's all about timing.
Sure. Maybe like a Jacare would be on that list as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Jacare. Sure.
Well, why would you say that order? Why do you think Anderson first? You know, Izzy second?
Being that, let's say the dominant reign that Anderson had, you know, he fought forever, which a lot of guys like. Let's say Khabib. Let's say if Khabib would have fought till he was like 46, you know, you think he's gonna be undefeated? Probably not. You know, he's probably gonna lose 4 or 5 towards the end of his career. That's what every, you know, great does, you know, is these young guys, they come in, it's just different, you know. So let's say Muhammad Ali, you know, same thing. He ran the sport towards the end of his career, 33, 34 and stuff like that. He started taking losses and more losses, you know. So if Anderson would have retired back whenever he was saying he wanted to retire, then he probably would have had like 3 or 4 losses, you know, but he just kept fighting. So what he done in his prime, I would probably put him 1, you know, and Izzy still have time to be number 1.
Right.
You know?
I think people forget that Anderson was the champion for 7 years. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Like who has ever done that? Who's even come close to doing that? Maybe John Jones. That's really the only guy.
Yeah.
And then Whittaker. I mean, how do you feel about it? You said he's number 3. I mean, do you think he's a guy that can challenge Izzy now in this fight, maybe coming up either in December or early next year?
Yeah, I think he can switch it up. You know, I think he can make some adjustments and make the fight more interesting and closer for sure. You know, you look in fights like, let's see, Gastelum and Whittaker fought, right?
They did. Yes, they fought. They fought either earlier this year.
Whittaker won that fight, right?
He did.
So, and if we go to if we do some MMA math, Izzy and Gastelum, there was no finish, but there was a finish in Izzy and Whittaker. So if he can make some adjustments, you know, and just kind of fought how he fought Gastelum, you know, who knows?
Your fight with Romero sticks out in my mind because I was at that fight. It was kind of in a random place in Georgia. Remember that fight? And I think you were winning. You were winning the whole fight. You were winning the whole way. What happened in that fight?
Yeah, man, that's probably one of my tougher losses throughout like my whole MMA career, because I was winning that fight, and it's like, let's say it was like a minute left or a minute and 30 left. If I could have just moved around, won that fight, I mean, I could have been challenging for a title at that time, or maybe put together 1 or 2 more. And I don't know who was the champion at that time.
It's probably Anderson, right?
Probably Anderson, huh?
Actually, I think it might have been. Actually, I think it was Weidman at that point.
Weidman, yeah. So it could have potentially got me a matchup with Weidman, you know. So
That's a winnable fight that was a winnable fight at the time for you, right? You and Weidman.
Yeah, for sure. That was a winnable fight. That was a fight that I would have liked to have at the time. But yeah, that fight, it was just my first, like, learning about nutrition, learning about cardio. Like, I was super green in my career because getting into the UFC, I haven't been fighting long. I think I was fighting like 2 or 3 years, and I got signed to the UFC. So, man, I just didn't hydrate properly. So, like, in that 3rd round, I didn't have nothing left, you know. So, like, it was just, I couldn't even move at that point, you know. But yeah, it was like, now I can just run around for a minute and 30 seconds. I mean, that's easy. But when your body shuts down because you just don't have the base in terms of proper hydration and weight cut and stuff like that, then it's not much you can do at that point.
Anything stand out about Romero? I mean, he's kind of like a freakish athlete, right?
Yeah. Romero's Romero, you know, he's guys that, you know, waits around, uses his wrestling reverse, try to catch guys with punching, pretty athletic and explosive. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know about the technical skills as far as like BJJ, decent boxing, decent kicks, you know. But my thing is, I always try to like well round everything, you know. Like, I'm a black belt in BJJ, you know, I'm an All-American wrestler, solid boxing, solid kickboxing, you know, because I train all these things for X amount of years, for 10 plus years.
So you put yourself at number 5 on that list. What do you have to do to move up? And do you think that that'll be a possibility here in the next, maybe, even few months, few years?
Oh yeah, for sure. My vision is to win this fight, get a title shot, win the title, defend it a couple times, and just be done. There's really no plan of being done, but it's like when I achieved everything that I want to achieve, then it's like it's almost nothing else to achieve. You know, leave with a sound mind, really smart, not much damage, and just move on to the next phase.
Does it feel like that you're the best you've ever been now? You're 37, you've been in the UFC for almost a decade, but it seems just looking at the record, it seems like you're in your prime right now.
Oh yeah, I'm getting close. I mean, I still have room to get better, and I'm not losing speed or anything like that. So, and I haven't had any crazy injuries. So, yeah, I'm still getting better, but yeah, I'm definitely getting close to the best version of myself.
Finally, last thing for you, Derek, and thanks again for taking the time, man. What's your prediction? How do you see the fight with you and Darren Till going on September 4th?
I see myself, just being my classic self, just being out there, being alert, seeing what's going on, and me getting to finish. What round, it all is depending on my opponent, but definitely going out there to get the finish.
Knockout, ground and pound. What do you think?
Man, there's endless possibilities. There's endless possibilities.
Awesome. Derek, thanks again. Really appreciate it. Again, Derek Brunson versus Darren Till, September 4th, UFC Fight Night in Las Vegas.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.